The book of Ruth, chapter 1. Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land. And a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. And the name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife Naomi, and the name of his 2 sons Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Judah. And they came into the country of Moab and continued there. And Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left and her 2 sons. And they took them wives of the women of Moab. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth. And they dwelled there about 10 years. And Mahlon and Chilion died, also both of them. And the woman was left of her 2 sons and her husband. And she arose with her daughters-in-law, that she might return from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the country of Moab how that the Lord had visited his people in giving them bread. Wherefore she went forth out of the place where she was, and her 2 daughters-in-law with her, and they went on the way to return unto the land of Judah. And Naomi said unto her 2 daughters-in-law, Go, return each to her mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you as ye have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant you that ye may find rest, each of you, in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voice and wept. And they said unto her, Surely we will return with thee unto thy people. And Naomi said, Turn again, my daughters. Why will ye go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb that they may be your husbands? Turn again, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have an husband. If I should say, I have hope, if I should have an husband also tonight, and should also bear sons, would ye tarry for them till they were grown? Would ye stay for them from having husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieveth me much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. And they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. And she said, Behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. And Ruth said, Entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Where thou diest will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me. When she saw that she was steadfastly minded to go with her, then she left, speaking unto her. So they 2 went until they came to Bethlehem. And it came to pass, when they were come to Bethlehem, that all the city was moved about them. And they said, Is this Naomi? And she said unto them, Call me not Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty hath dealt very bitterly with me. I went out full, and the Lord hath brought me home again empty. Why then call ye me Naomi, seeing the Lord hath testified against me? The Almighty hath afflicted me. So Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, which returned out of the country of Moab, and they came to Bethlehem in the beginning of the barley harvest. The book of Ruth is about 2 great women, Naomi and her daughter-in-law, Ruth. And we see, I'm so glad to get to the book of Ruth, because it is universally a positive, uplifting book where people are obedient to the gospel. They love the Lord, they do the right things, and it is such a relief from all of the books that have gone before. And I enjoy it, thoroughly thrilled at it. And Ruth and Naomi both have a great deal of integrity, just absolutely phenomenal individuals. So much better than most of the men we've read about thus far in the Old Testament. Now, as a brief summary, Elimelech and his wife Naomi and their 2 sons leave the area around Bethlehem and go to Moab. Now, the distance they would have traveled would be maybe 50 miles east. The highlands of Moab were often better watered than the area around Bethlehem, and if there was a drought around Bethlehem, there would have been no food whatsoever. Going to Moab would have been not very long journey. They could have made that in a few days, and there would have been more food there. Shortly after they get there, Elimelech dies. Naomi becomes a widow, but she has 2 sons. The 2 sons marry daughters of the Moabites. Now, these people would have worshipped Chemosh, who was one of the gods that to which people would sacrifice humans. It does not appear as though Orpha or Orpha or Ruth were involved in that kind of worship. There's nothing to indicate that at all. But in there, it says they lived there 10 years, and the young men died without either Orpha or Ruth having children. So now we have 3 widows. And at that point in time, Naomi hears that there is the drought is over back in Bethlehem, which is her hometown, and she decides to head back there because she'll feel more comfortable with her own people, her own language, her own religion. And she's really on her own in a strange land in Moab. The girls start to follow her to go, and she says to them basically, no, stay. I have no sons. There's no need to follow me. I'm not going to have any more sons, for you to wait around to marry. Just stay here, go to your mother's home, find new husbands. You've dealt honorably with me, dealt honorably with my dead sons. Bless you and go. Orpha does. Ruth says not. Ruth says she won't go. And basically, Ruth says in verse 16, probably one of the most beautiful of all scriptures. And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Where thou diest will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me. And what she's basically, she's saying, look, I'm going to tie my entire life to you. And she is so impressed with Naomi and the way Naomi has lived. Obviously, Naomi has worshipped her God. That Ruth is quite prepared to leave behind everything she has, recognizing that what Naomi has is better than what Ruth had in her own country, and she's willing to follow Naomi. That is the power of example. Really great example. And so they head home, and after so many years, the people see Naomi, recognize her, and she is feeling, the Hebrew word Naomi means pleasant. And so they say, well, is this not Naomi? And she uses a play on words and said, no, don't call me Naomi, call me Mara, which means bitter. The waters of Mara were very bitter waters at the time of Moses. And they cast a bush or a tree into it and made the water sweet. But she's using the word Mara as a name and saying, she went out full, she's come back empty. She had a husband and 2 sons. Now she comes back and she's all alone. The Lord has judged her and found her to be unworthy of having those things. Life has been tough. And so she doesn't do it to get attention. It's just, let people know that there's no husband, there's no sons. She's there with her beloved daughter-in-law. But that her circumstances have changed very dramatically since she left. And we're going to find out just how incredible a daughter-in-law Ruth was in the coming chapters.